Hello and welcome. This is Casey and I am going to be doing a video for you today on mapping your iris or mapping anyone's iris by hand. So there are a few different ways, and a lot of times iridologists will utilize all of the different ways to map out the iris. So you can use chart overlays, you can use computer software, which is essentially chart overlay, computerized. But then there is the tried and true, and in my opinion, most accurate way of mapping out the iris. And not only is it the most accurate, it's the most accessible. So anyone can do this. All right. So we're going to get started. I'm going to keep it simple and focused today. There's going to be a lot of topics that may stem off from this that I will do additional videos for. But I want to keep this brief so that if you're interested in learning how to map the iris, you can watch this video and do it. Okay? So first thing is you're going to start with an iris, and then it's nice to have a chart on hand. The first thing you're going to locate in the iris is the center of the pupil. And then you're going to draw a line from the center of the pupil up to the 12 o'clock position. So in Iridology, we use the analogy of the clock face, and you can use any analogy. It could be a clock, it could be a compass, it could be any kind of circular shape, it could be an astrological wheel. If you're more into like international time, you can divide it out by degrees. It doesn't matter, but for now, we're going to call this the 12 o'clock, and we're going to have 3 o'clock over here, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. Okay, so the 12 o'clock is always going to be the same. That's one of the most important things in mapping an iris. The center of the pupil is always going to be the same, okay? So it's always going to be different, but it's always going to be the same because you're looking at different eyes. So this is one of the reasons why this method is the most accurate, because you can have an offset pupil, and that's going to change the way that you're going to map the iris. All right, but for now, and that's a little more advanced, so for now we're going to stick with a pupil that is well aligned. Okay, so you find the pupil, you find the 12 o'clock, you draw a straight line from the center of the pupil to the 12 o'clock. And you can go ahead and follow that down to the 6 o'clock. See how we did. Okay, that looks all right. And then same thing. You want it to come down. Okay. So we have 4 equal quadrants. We can now sort of tick off the other time. So if you take a look at the chart on the right, we have 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then all of the different zones and organs represented within those areas. So it can be convenient to speak the same language if you're collaborating, or if you're learning something new with Iridology, and you can say, the liver. So what I would say is the liver gallbladder is in the liver gallbladder zone. But technically it's around, 7:45, between 7:35 and 7:50, almost 8 o'clock, something like that. But this is more so that the reason I do this is so that I can mark off the iris more accurately. And this is how Dr. Morse taught us how to map the iris. 10 and 11. Okay, so you have your iris marked off in 12 different quadrants, and I'm not going to highlight those, but you can obviously, and I do recommend you go ahead and sketch these off, either not like that, either by hand or with a ruler. And then what you'll end up having is very specific quadrants that you can then map out the organs with. Okay. Next thing I want to show you, so you've mapped out the iris. Next thing I want to show you is the most prominent feature in the most prominent, shall we say, guidepost in charting the iris would be the autonomic nerve wreath. And the autonomic nerve wreath, I'm going to show you, I'm going to highlight it in this iris. So it is on the outside of the bowel wall, and it sort of delineates, not sort of, it does delineate the organs and systems of digestion from the rest of the body. And in this delineation, because it's the autonomic nerve wreath, it has the whole autonomic nerve wreath. That's a whole other topic. I can do another video on that, because you can actually see a lot of what's going on in the body just looking at the nature of that nerve wreath. How close it is to the iris, how compressed or constricted your organs of digestion are, if there's any spasticity or lack of tissue integrity. That's also taken into account. The color of the autonomic nerve wreath. This autonomic nerve wreath, as you can see, let me undo a little bit of that. So it's pretty yellowish, pretty like a cream yellowish, and that color extends from the pupil into the stomach halo. We have a stomach halo right around in this area here. You can just sort of see this faint outline, this circular halo. That would be a stomach halo. Same color as the autonomic nerve wreath, so we know there's a lot going on in the digestive system. We know that we are into not the acute, but into the subacute or chronic level of lymphatic congestion. Okay, so there's a lot you can read on the autonomic nerve wreath. In fact, just this morning I was kind of geeking out on that and knowing I need to do a video just on that. So let me go ahead and finish. Okay, so we have a little bit of shadowing up at the top here. That's where the transverse colon is. A little bit of eyelash reflection from the photo. I still really like this photo though, and I can still see where the autonomic nerve wreath is going. And there does seem to be like there is a possibility that there is some level of prolapsing, in which case we would look toward the parathyroid if we were doing a reading. And in fact, she does have a a lacuna or some sign of weakness in that parathyroid area. So, one thing I do want to show you, again, that's another topic for another video. I do want to show you an example of what can live inside and outside of the bowel wall, or what can appear there. And so we're going to look at the pituitary and the pineal glands. And because the idea here is that everything on the inside of the bowel wall, inside the blue line, all of this in here, let me see, I don't think my mouse pointer is working, so I'm just going to kind of highlight like all of this area in here. We have stomach, a lot of radii solaris, possibly some malabsorption, but mainly the goal with this area here is to start to clear out this lymphatic congestion. So everything on the inside of the autonomic nerve wreath is essentially functions that are automatically controlled, and those which can be more consciously directed are outside of, so the organs that you can more consciously direct with your conscious mental process are outside of the bowel wall. Okay, so it is significant, and I want to, and for me, it's the main feature of mapping the iris. So back to the topic of this video, we map the iris, finding the center, the galactic core. So this is the center, the most deepest, centermost part of your body. You can liken it to the core of the earth, and then you're going to find your true north, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then draw those lines, map that out, and then find the bowel wall, outline that, and then you know that everything that you're looking at on the inside of the bowel wall is part of the digestive system. I mean, a few exceptions. You have the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. But all of those connected to organs on the inside of the bowel wall also, but they themselves are on the outside. So let me show you briefly. We have the pituitary gland right in here. And I'm not necessarily highlighting where the pituitary gland would be on the chart. I'm highlighting this mark that I see, this dark line of likely degeneration. So just lack of tissue integrity. Nothing to be alarmed of. Okay, so but the darkness starts on the inside of the bowel wall and extends to the outside of the bowel wall. Different color. And so what that is showing me is that there's some focus on that pineal gland and its functions, and that a large part of that pineal gland's stress is being affected by and is likely affecting this area here in the transverse colon area. And then right next to that we have the pituitary gland. Same thing, so you see the darkness, and then you see that again it extends that area. It doesn't mean that your pituitary gland is not in your brain. It is. It's still up there, don't worry. It just means that the toxicity and the nerve communication, the blood circulation, the lymphatic circulation, and especially that nerve communication, they're very related between that transverse colon and that autonomic nerve wreath, and this in particular in this eye, the pineal and pituitary gland. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here. I see from this video that the next one I'm going to do, and all of this stuff has been covered. You know, I do a lot of the long videos but it's all been covered. Maybe not this mapping, but a lot of the little nuances of how to locate imbalances and all sorts of things. I have so much material on my YouTube channel, but my focus now is to start doing some shorter videos. And so the next video I want to do is on the signs we see in the iris. So, like all of the signs that might imply weakness. So the lacuna, the psora spots, drug deposits, little things like that. That will come naturally next from this video, because what we'll do is we'll say, you know, for example, there's a little lacuna in this area here. You can see my in here. So I'll show you, and so what you would do is you would see this area, and then you would go over to the chart. You would correlate that at, oh, you know what, like 320, although it's on the inside of the bowel wall. So you're looking at the descending colon, and you're looking at also its effect on that upper spine in the back. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to locate lacuna and what they might imply based on the location of those lacuna. All right, hope you enjoy the video, and I will see you soon. Bye.